you'll use the higher valuation and the lower rate. Right? You'll still just get to 20 minutes. Yeah. All right, nobody paying them until January. I think this, I'm surprised this, when do you have to sign the budget?
By July 1st.
It has to pass before,
Yeah.
or it doesn't,
Yeah,
and
or
then you,
not.
if it doesn't, if it dies in committee,
Yeah.
it says it's in the refer to the Commonwealth, state and local government favorable rules and calendar and operations of the House.
Okay, welcome to June 8th, Town Council regular workshop meeting regarding the budget. Meeting will come to order. At this point in time, turn things over to Town Manager Harris.
Mr. Mayor, Council, as we were just having a little discussion prior to the meeting on Senate Bill 889, the county has adopted their budget as presented. As we discussed at a previous budget workshop, there's kind of two different tax rates depending on what this bill does. We have talked with some lobbyists, and one of their recommendations down there as well is that any hurricane or tropical storm Helene impacted area be recused from this bill due to, especially with Buncombe County, what they're saying in the bill is that it would only delay it by 1 year. Buncombe County's already been delayed by 2 years if they would go that, not just 1 year. So that's one of the reasons that we were pushing for the lobbyist on that aspect. And so right now, again, it's still moved from one side of the floor to the other, but still has not passed. But that was kind of the latest update on it of where we are looking at that. Moving along to your proposed budgets, and for discussion and any type of adoption, possible adoption, we'll go over some of the highlights from it. On your general fund, $10,932,421. Your fire fund, $5,113,557. The water fund, $4,279,970, for a total of $20,325,948. Again, that's with a 32-cent tax rate after the reval process. Some notable added items and in the budget from previous discussions. Full-time positions were added at 1 HR position, 1 part-time finance front office position up front, 2 police officers, 1 maintenance tech, and 1 water treatment plant operator. We have a 3% COLA, cost of living allowance in there. Our health insurance increase of 8%. Vehicles and equipment added, 4 patrol vehicles, 2 for the police department, 2 public works vehicles for Ford F-150, 1 swap loader, message board and air board with public works, light tower replacement, security cameras, drone for PD, safety equipment, and fire department some rescue equipment. Water meter replacement on the capital funding projects, water line replacement, the water treatment plant, the Claricorn Pond installation, backup generator at our High Bluff tank, storm water improvements, playground resurfacing, the fire department salaries for recruitable wages. They did finalize our portion of the county's fire fund from that, and it came in at $2,970,755 on that aspect. PD salaries increased for pay parity, retention holiday bonuses, public works living wage, Main Street lighted holiday tree, IT services increased, water engineering services, policy amendments of 2% 401k contribution with matching up to 6%, increased paid paternity leave from 2 weeks to 4 weeks, and increased staffing annual leave from 2 weeks to 3 weeks. That is the highlights of the budget that we reviewed and had a public hearing on and several public discussions, comments. I'll be glad to answer any questions or more detail if you want some more detail on the highlights, or talk to you about the water fund aspect and the fire fund if you need those.
Yes, I have a comment. I'd like to refer council to manager's budget memo of April 13th, page 9. And again, these are probably trivial numbers to you, but Manager Harris is telling me that the outside agency stipends that the town is offering to the WBA, to senior meals and WEDAC are still in the budget. What I'd like to point out is the WBA will see a $1,000 increase from historical. I think senior meals is probably going to see a $1,000 increase in theirs, which was, I think, 5,000 unless Tanya correct.
It was 6 last year as well.
Was it 6? Okay. WEDAC has been cut from 5 to 2, and I'd like to actually make a motion to council that we level those stipends all to 6,000, if that's agreeable to you. The Economic Development Committee basically has 2 significant projects running now. One is hotel recruitment and evaluation. The other has to do with forming a new newcomers organization that's going to actually draw upon our 10 real estate project approvals. So my request to you basically is that we essentially level those all at 6.
So raising WEDAC $4,000,
Correct,
but leaving the others the same.
correct.
Because last year you got 5,000, is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
What was when you first started, you said there was a $1,000 increase to the WBA and then also a cost increase to Meals on Wheels?
No, it's to the senior meal side.
Yeah.
Senior meals,
So-
okay.
So Tanya, was WBA 6,000 last year?
It was 5,000.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
It's historically been 5,000.
yeah. So, again, you know, my recommendation to council basically is we just leveled them all at 6.
I'm fine with that.
So, any discussion about that?
Do we need to make a motion?
If you'd like to do that.
I made the motion.
No, you made the motion.
So we have a motion on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you, council.
Yeah, so you won't be able to. Okay. Any other discussion on the budget piece? Or water fund or power fund?
Maybe walk us through the fire fund and the uniform tax rate and how that affects the town a little bit,
Okay.
just for refresher.
All right. The county has adopted a single-wide tax district, which was, I think the tax rate ended up being 11.97. Previously in the North Buncombe district, we were 12.27, so that kind of equates it out to, then you submit your budget to the county, they determine what funding you receive, and every department, and to include our North Buncombe districts, has to submit to the county itself. And then they, again, this year, the funding came back at $2,970,755 for a cost share of roughly 57-43, split with the county's portion 57%, and ours is 43% on that aspect. So moving forward, they're starting to formalize some plans with the contract, and we'll be bringing you a contract at the June 22nd meeting for you to review with that aspect, because ours is a little different than the incorporated boards departments for some of the things that they were acquiring in the contract as far as insurance. With our league insurance, there'll be some different verbiage that has to be in there for that aspect, so.
Scotty, do we have any idea yet about the capital projects from the county for the fire department?
Any capital it'll be just part of the budget process that they will submit every year. It'll be a cost share for our aspect from municipal.
So the cost share would be 57%? Is
That is this year's,
this year's?
yes.
So was there money put in that for property for any fire department?
Yes and no. What we did
That's
is,
my question.
we moved it basically, Florida County, it was listed in there as part of capital projects, and we submit them a 10-year capital improvement plan. But on ours, it was zeroed out for land purchase because it would be taken on as debt services, and no payment would be till next fiscal year. So that's why I say the yes and no. So it was factored in there, but if we do find land to purchase, we had already talked with the lenders, since we're having to finance the fire trucks, and they said that payment wouldn't be due till next fiscal year.
Okay, so if by chance we were to find some property for a new fire department, and we found it in September, just picking a day, then we anticipate the county will help supplement that
Yes, I mean,
cost?
that's part of the process, I mean,
Okay.
and that's the other reason when they're doing this contract and looking at time, distance response and putting 22 people on the scene,
Right.
is they're going to evaluate that as with your mutual aid responses, where does the station placement location need to be, and what is it like on staffing and different metrics in there, and that's what they're trying to run the data on that
Okay.
aspect.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Any other questions on fire fund or water fund?
If you're ready to adopt and the only change is the $4,000 additional, I mean, Jennifer can speak more of this, but I believe we could go ahead and adopt based on that one change. It would come out of fund balance, so your fund balance would increase by 4,000, and the governing body expenditures would increase by 4,000.
There is something I want to change on fee schedule. I don't know if I need to wait for that, or if that goes into this discussion too.
That'll be the
That'll
next
be- yeah,
item.
next
Okay,
item, yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah.
So if y'all are ready to vote on that, exactly what Ms. Dozier said is you can make a motion to adopt the general fund and fire fund budget with the change, with the add of 4,000 to WEDAC, adding that to your fund balance appropriation, and the water fund as presented.
And there is a suggested recommended motion in your packet as soon as well.
Before we get, could I just ask one,
Yes,
just
sir.
real general question? And this regarding the new positions, and just for my knowledge, are these positions to catch up with, like, former growth of the town? Or is it kind of more eyeing towards the future and looking to just add that capacity sooner rather than later?
I would say it's a combination of both. I mean, especially with the HR position, we're getting close to 100 personnel on staff right now and don't have a true dedicated HR person, and 3 or 4 people have been picking up that responsibilities. As far as the police department side, I mean, we're doing 2 this year, or asking for 2 in there. And basically in the police department, 1 position, or 4 equates to 1 basically. Because what these positions are going to do, they're going to start out working traffic and work a split shift. But technically, they would be 4 positions with 4 shifts. But we're trying to maintain control of that aspect as far as not going too far into it and still have adequate staffing. So those 2 officers initially would work traffic and work a split shift. So they're kind of working with both shifts, day and night. They might work a 10 to 10, 12 to 12, something like that. So it's kind of flexed out. Your part-time position, it's needed up front to help distribute some of the workflow with our staff up there. Like this week, one's been on vacation, so you're kind of short. So if you had a part-time position, it kind of equates to 3 people being there all the time. Our water treatment plant, with the growth and expansion that's occurring there, last year we were fortunate to add 2 positions, and still for the safety aspect out there of it being not a totally 24/7 operation, but there are a lot of days it is 24 hours, and it gives that safety aspect of 2 people assigned to shift out there.
Okay,
Right.
thanks.
So would anybody like to make a motion to adopt what we've been discussing?
I'll be glad to make the motion. I move to adopt the fiscal year 26-27 budget ordinance for the general fund and special revenue fund with the change of the $4,000 we discussed for WEDAC, and also the budget ordinance for the water public enterprise fund.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm opposed, and it's because I don't believe in COLA raises, and I mentioned that at the beginning of this process, so I know my vote doesn't matter, but I'm voting no.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Jackson is going to do the fee schedules. So we would
I'm gonna do that from here, if that's okay, since the lectern is not set up. Can you hear me okay? Okay. I'm not gonna spend too much time on this, but to tell you, as part of the budget process every year, we do take a look at your fee schedules. That is a revenue source, not a very large one, but it is revenue, on the general fund and fire fund. It is the revenue source, or the primary revenue source on the water fund side. So you've got two fee schedule ordinances, the general fund and fire fund. I'm just gonna go through real briefly the changes, and they're highlighted in your packet, so you can kind of, it's not word for word, but the changes are, the areas where we've made some tweaks are highlighted. We are gonna note that the parade entry fees will support community programming and events. We are, as you know, the United States is going away from the penny. That has some fairly significant changes to some of our operations. And so this is the first year that we've really had to deal with that. You're going to see general statements in both of these fee schedule ordinances that talk about rounding. It's a symmetrical rounding. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down, to get us to either within a nickel. So that we can do that. Some places are doing that only for cash transactions. Because of our financial system, we have to do it across the board, because we can't say if cash, then this amount. So you're going to see some rounding for some copying charges. We've also noted some of our records requests we have to outsource if it's really large maps, and so we've got actual costs covered there. We've had a more detailed hourly charges noted for public works equipment, and an increase in the hourly fee for the public works department personnel from 30 to 35. I think Councilmember Young is actually proposing, or maybe proposing to send that to 45.
Yes, so put it at everybody's seat, a copy of the expenses for the WBA events. And I did it per event, and it's per police department and per public works department. And the total that the town offered in support of the WBA events were $18,825.86. So if I look at the public work costs, most of their costs are going to be overtime. So I don't believe that $35 is going to be enough, since it's overtime costs. I'd rather increase the public works fees to $45 instead of $35, and that's on page 18, I believe it is. So if we could just change that $35 to $45, that would help compensate for the overtime fees that they use for these events. So I make a motion that we change that fee schedule to $45.
You want to wait until do that in a minute, or you want to do
Whatever
that
you want
as
me
a
to do.
separate item?
You're driving the boat, I'll do whatever.
Okay. Hold that thought. We've got some amendments to the fire code violations section, just to fully comply with North Carolina law on tampering. That's a whole hour discussion that I won't take up your time tonight, but that's very complicated. We've got some notes on the fees for the zoning map amendments and text amendments are for citizen-initiated or requested amendments. That would not be, you're not going to charge yourself if you decide that you want an amendment. We wanted to make sure that clarification was in there. We have made a note that subdivision fees must comply with North Carolina law. They do. The law, though, does require you, actually in a couple instances, if you're going to make changes, you've got to have public comment periods and public hearings. There were no changes in the subdivision area this year, so that didn't get triggered, but we want to make a note so we remember that we've got some procedure to handle if we do start talking about that. Kirby Curbside Management is your recycling contractor, and that's a pass-through, and you've got a contract in place right now that does call for a CPI increase, which was 2.1, I think, %, and so it went from $3.65 per month to $3.73. That's been very typical. And then the symmetrical rounding that I talked about a minute ago. And then on the water side, we did some increases to your seasonal disconnect and reconnect fees. Those are the citizen requested. Those are our summer homes or winter homes, to disconnect. We've got some notes that meter rechecks and reread fees are only gonna apply if the meter is operational, meaning a citizen calls and they say, I've got a crazy water bill, and can you come check my meter? If the meter is operating, then they're gonna be charged operating correctly, they're gonna be charged the meter fee. If the meter is not operating correctly, that means there's a mechanical failure, and so they will not be charged that meter fee, that recheck fee. We've got some increases to some flow test fees for fire system. We've got some renaming of disconnect, reconnect fees to non-payment processing fee. We've got the same ads that we did in the general fund and fire fund. We've got in the water fund as well for the public works equipment and personnel. So this we will need to make sure that we increase there as well.
Before you turn the page, just out of curiosity, so when we go check a meter, how much does that actually cost the town to do?
To check.
Well, I don't know how you do it. So the question is this, so I doubt 25 is enough.
Covered it, to show like this.
Why would we, go ahead.
We do a lot of rereads anyway, upwards of 40 to 50 each month. So if the customer's water bill is extremely large,
Yep.
we look whether we're the prior month, if something catches our eye, we'll send them out anyway. So this would be if a customer, if we didn't flag it,
Right.
and we couldn't explain it to the customer and they insisted and they wanted it anyway, this is a way for us to charge.
No, I'm in favor of charging. By the time I get in my truck, I drive to the house and do it. So we're saying there's nothing wrong. The customer's saying, nah, we want instant video replay. And you lose your time out if you're wrong. So that's all. I mean,
It's just adding one more.
yeah, I mean, I'd charge $50 for it minimum, but I'd want to know what it costs. What would it cost us in gas, time? Does one guy go? Does two guy go? But
I think this was an area where Public Works actually advocated for a higher change than what's reflected, but it was gonna jump really to a much higher, and so we felt like maybe doing that incrementally might
Okay.
be a better play. But
I bet you it costs you $100 to go do one.
At least.
Right, because it's not just their hourly rate, it's what do they call it, what do we pay for them? So, sure. All right,
You
leave it
may
alone.
see that one again.
Yeah,
We should set it to 50.
no, I'm fine with them doing what they want, but I'm in favor of setting it to what it costs the town to do. But, you know, if they're driving around doing them anyways, but if somebody
Adding one
says,
more to the list.
yeah, or they go, come out today, darn it, stop everything you're doing. Okay, we'll do that, and if we're wrong, you don't pay anything, right? If it's our fault, they don't pay anything, is what I heard, right?
Right.
But if you're filling your pool, and you forgot you were filling your pool, and you wasted our money, then you should pay what it costs. So I'm saying, I couldn't say jump to 50, until I know what it costs.
Right.
That's my only recommendation, is charge, on something like that, just charge what it costs, but you're already down the road pretty far, maybe consider that for next year. I'm in favor of user taxes.
We will certainly make that note. We've got some changes to the meter tampering charges, to changing the name of that to interfering with water appliances or meters, and also making some other amendments in order to comply with North Carolina law. We've got a negligent, reckless damage to water system. This is your Frontier doing their work and hitting our lines. We try to work with them, but when it's repetitive, that becomes a problem. So we want to make sure that that's in the fee schedule to handle those. We've simplified the bulk water purchase down to essentially $50 per, what is it?
25.
25 per 500 or
Yeah, before it was a little more complicated than that, so we've got that, yeah, $25 for 500 gallons, and making a note that we're only gonna be selling in 500 gallon increments.
So in all the locations we have to be determined, is that just based on the incident and not so much a flat fee that we're establishing for this?
For the negligent, reckless damage,
Yep.
yeah, that's on a cost basis, so we can't really, it's not effective to put a fee in there.
Yep.
So we just, because it just depends. There's a widely varying cost.
Sure, yeah, it could vary much greatly, so, okay, thank you.
So it just gets to a cost plus 10.
Mm-hmm,
Perfect.
Right.
yeah.
Under your emergency water rate, we do, that is cost of production plus 10%, and Randall has calculated that the current cost of production is $6.75 per 1,000 gallons. And so when you add that 10% on, you get the emergency water rate in there. That is available to essentially, right now, Mars Hill, if they were to have an emergency, that's how we would sell them water. 10% really is more of an administrative type fee to get that started, but we felt like that was a reasonable way to sell water to our neighbors. It adds a relocation of an existing tap. It adds some sidewalk cut and repair fees. It amends the application fee to capture some administrative time in handling those requests. It does note that the irrigation and fire line connections are exempt from water system development fees. We've had some questions over the last year. Last year was the first year we implemented irrigation line connections and those fees, and found that we really needed some clarification on that to not, because those system development fees are expensive. They're $2,750 per residential tap, and so that's a lot of money to pay on top of a domestic line. Increase, this is the big one, the domestic water rates, 5% increase, and this is per the water study that was done 2 years ago. Trying to keep on track with that. It's possible, Tanya, you may remember, I don't know that we did the full 5% 2 years ago. I know we did it last year, so we may be just a little bit behind where they thought we would be, but we're pretty close. It does consolidate irrigation rates into one rate. Last year we did a residential rate and a commercial rate, and decided that didn't really make sense, and so that's now one rate. It does increase some fire line testing, and then it notes that consumption off of a fire line that is as a result of a leak, as long as they get it fixed quickly within 30 days, they're not going to be charged that $1,000 consumption fee. For me, I'm going to come to you here in just a second. Fire meters are different. I've learned they're not volumetric. They're not calculating how much water is passing through a fire line. All they're doing is it's a detection meter. It's detecting flow. And so we've learned that this is a risk of folks stealing water. Most of the time that's not an issue, but we have had some folks, because it's not metered, we can't say, well, you now owe us this amount of money because you've used X amount of gallons of water, because we can't calculate that. And so that fee is actually, we want that flow to be available for emergency purposes and not somebody trying to get sneaky with things. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was just curious, with respect to irrigation taps, in comparison to our subscriber base, is it really low, or is it growing? Are more people requesting irrigation than in the past?
Well, yes, because we haven't had them in the past. So this is kind of a new program. It's something that we haven't in the past said, we don't have irrigation meters. You're gonna have to connect to your hose, to your domestic meter. So it is growing, and I would absolutely expect that it will continue to grow. The nice thing about the irrigation meters are that when you get into a drought situation and you're into your water shortage response plan, it does distinguish between, the first thing that's cut off is irrigation.
Ah, okay.
So knowing who's got irrigation meters is very helpful to us, because we can then communicate with them to say, to make sure that they're complying with the water shortage plan.
Thank you.
Last thing I'll note, just like with the general fee schedule, is the penny shortage. If there are no questions, then one of the motion, the motion, if you wish to entertain it, is to adopt both of these fee schedule ordinances with the amendment to increase the Public Works hourly rate to $45.
Yes.
I've got just a question regarding, on page 17, in the permit fees, it says town-sponsored events. And then on page 18, the hourly charges for equipment personnel, hourly charges are for special event permits unless town-sponsored or supported. So is town-sponsored and town-supported, are those two different classifications?
For clarification on that, what you're referring to, like the fire fees and their supervisors, different things. If somebody wanted to have a fireworks show at a wedding, they would have to provide, we would provide service there for be an apparatus or personnel on standby. So that's not a town-sponsored event, so they would basically be contracting to provide personnel staff for that.
Right.
So-
But I guess I'm seeing two terms for sponsored or supported, and I'm wondering if those are two different classifications.
Yeah, I think that they are. I think that we've got our own events that we put on. So we've got, we sometimes do special event permits. We did one for the music in the park. We do one for 4th of July. So those we're not gonna charge ourselves
Right.
for 4th of July. Now, WBA events, those we have in the past considered those town-supported,
Okay.
not sponsored. And so there's a little bit of if y'all have, we've sort of taken town council's lead, and if you want us to help with some of these events that the WBA is putting on for the community, we have considered our staff time as supporting.
Okay. No, that's helpful. That's the kind of what is leading into the WBA discussion we've been having regarding that, is if that would fall under this sponsored or supported category. I just, advocate for just, clarity in language or whatever for that.
And I think town council is in a great position to have some of those conversations, and if there are events that we are supporting with our man hours that you don't wish us to, you just need to be clear with us what those expectations are, or any limitations that you want.
So with WBA events, for example, we sponsored 18,825.
Well,
for those events.
that's under the rate fee.
So we're not charging them.
That is not supported.
So we're not charging them for this, but this is how much we supported them with man hours.
Well, that rate is how much, if it was not a town-supported project, how much we would have billed them. But the actual cost is less than the personnel cost of a non-supported event.
I'm not following.
The actual rate, like in Angela's breakdown, she had what the actual costs were. And
Which is
it
here.
was
This is their
less.
actual cost.
It was less than the 65 for a police and 35 for
Well, it's probably more than 35 because most of this was overtime. So that's why I want to increase the fee schedule for Public Works, because most of these hours that Public Works put into these events were overtime charges, and that's why I'd like to see it increase to $45 instead
Sure.
of $35.
Sure.
Now,
But this fee, but that wouldn't apply to this.
well, it would.
The increase wouldn't, because these WDA events are.
Our town sponsor.
Correct.
Support.
So, one thing that I'm thinking is we're already giving them $6,000 in a stipend. And we're providing $18,800 in support for an event. But do we need to cap the amount that we are supporting them? I mean, put it at $20,000, and if they go over $20,000, then they have to pay for it.
I think it's a discussion for a later date. We're talking about
I think
fee
we've
schedules right
gone, we're
now.
way off the rails here.
Yeah,
We were talking
let's-
about water rates,
Yeah.
Okay.
right?
And we're talking about fee schedule.
Well, we're talking about fee schedule, but we were talking about whether there was a motion gonna be on the floor about whether we were gonna do the two separate motions. One for, the fee, let's see, for the, general fund and one for the fire fund.
So we already did that one,
We already did that one.
right?
I don't recall that we did that, no.
We just
There was,
adopted
there
the
was,
budget.
there was somebody that said, I'd like to start this, and then we got off track. So I'd like to go back and revisit this. Do we want to do this and do them both at the same time, which we can do, right, Jennifer?
Yeah, so if you're talking about the motion for the fee schedule, you could take them separately, or you could take them together. Both, I think both changes that Councilmember Young had suggested, they would be equally in both fee schedules. And so you could do one motion to adopt the fee schedule ordinances with the change of the Public Works, from 35 to 45. You could do that as one motion.
I would
Yeah.
like to get this off the table if we could, if somebody would make that motion.
I'll make it.
Okay, we have a motion for the fee schedules for general and fire fund to bind those together,
And water.
and water.
And water.
And water. So all in favor?
Aye.
Say
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Mayor. I just had to clarify on the ordinance adoption of the water fund. Councilmember Nagel, were you a negative or were you for that?
That was one motion, and I did note that Councilmember Nagel was a no.
A no for the water fund, yes? Is that correct?
I was a no for the budget.
For the budget ordinance?
Yeah.
For general fund?
Yes.
And fire fund, you were nay?
Right.
And then for the water fund? so-
Yes,
Thank you.
sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. I wasn't clear.
It was one motion, are you?
Yeah, trying to group things together, sound like Washington DC.
All right, back to you, Mr. Harris.
All right, on your pay plan, we don't have it ready tonight for adoption, so we'll go over some highlights. On your pay plan, they're still under development, not quite ready. Looking at the based markets, and based off of town council's consensus and direction with the living wage, the recruitable wages and pay parity, the 3% COLA, and the newly created HR position added in there, so we had to get some comparisons from other HR positions and municipalities alike. We're separating out the pay plans from fire and police departments, as they were the most impacted by job competition. And when you make increases at the entry level, trying to separate out so we don't create so much compression. So we're looking at our mid-range and our top end on those as we do the adjustments for our entry levels. We just want to ensure that we're creating a career ladder in there with some organizational structure looking at that. So one example on that is adjusting a supervisor position at the water treatment plant to accommodate positions that were anticipated out there over the last 2 years. So again, we'll be reviewing those for market adjustments, and we'll have that to you at your June 22nd meeting for your pay plan to be adopted that night. Moving along to your policy adjustments. when you go through this, if you're following along, when you notice at the end of it, you know, on each policy that I talk about where it says policy page 29, I know it can get a little confusing, but that is the page number out of the policy itself, not the policy number or the page number for your packet. But some changes that were made to the policies in itself, personnel policy, minor changes to workplace violence prevention section, which is on the policy page 29. Increase annual leave to a minimum of 3 weeks for all employees. Clarifies annual leave provision regarding negative leave balance and payment upon separation. Clarifies sick leave provisions regarding negative leave balance and notices of use of sick leave. Modifies provisions concerning maternity and paternity leave and increased paid sick leave. Modified, we did the 4 weeks there, expanded that. Adds automatic 401K contributions, if funded with the budgets. Adds definition of retaliation to the harassment policy. Makes minor changes in harassment's complaint procedures. Clarifies the disciplinary action that can be taken based on severity of situation. Harassment policy procedures that adds definition of retaliation. Makes minor changes in that complaint procedures. And clarifies the disciplinary action for our workplace violence policy. Adds a definition of retaliation. Notes that disciplinary action should be congregate and the severity of violation. Requires that all complaints must be submitted to the human resource officer. Grievance policy procedures updates the manager's name as a contact for general grievances on the policy. The attached proposed amendments have been drafted and are proposed for adoption. A resolution for the purposes attached for your consideration tonight. We could get a motion for a resolution to adopt it. No one has questions on the policies or attachments. Yes, sir.
Scotty, quick question. With adoption of these policy changes or amendments, how is that communicated to everybody? Is that through department heads or?
Yeah, it goes back out and then they'll get a copy of what changes have been made and each employee has to sign off acknowledging they've read the changes through the policy.
Got it. No, I think everything that I read is fine. And, my name is not Eustace, so, I thought that was a good choice too.
How does somebody get you've highlighted, employees are expected to keep track of their leave balance, and are not allowed to have a negative sick leave balance. How would somebody get a negative sick leave?
For example, if a brand new employee started, and hasn't accumulated or acquired enough 6 hours and, for that first month they were called out sick, then they haven't accumulated based off the hours that they accumulate through the process of the payroll.
I'm still confused.
So for example,
Maybe
if
government works different than private industry.
you don't get your balance up front, it's automatically accumulated
Right.
as you go through the process. So
Yeah.
if you're accumulating 3.62 hours
Yep.
per pay period,
Yep.
and I'm at the fire department and I take off 24 hours on my second or third week or even that first month.
Right.
And call out sick, I haven't accumulated enough hours yet, so it would be, they would have to get approval from the manager to go and leave or take unpaid leave.
So Scotty, what happens? Because, I mean, Andrew, in my, example, or where we work, if somebody were to be discharged because of absenteeism, and they had a negative sick leave, they actually owe us the money back. They have to pay it back. Is that the same here?
Yeah, I mean, it would basically, for the 2 week notice, I mean, we pay out a maximum of 240 hours. So if they don't have any of that, then it, I don't.
So what then happens? Do they have to go into their pocket, or are they just,
No.
do we just
Or
call it?
leave without pay, is there?
We don't pay out any sick leave, we pay out
Right.
annual leave and
Annual
holiday
vacation,
leave.
yeah.
So if someone were to leave, we would withhold it from their
That's what
vacation
I'm asking.
time. Yes.
That's what I'm asking.
And it all has to do with state benefits, correct? It's all tied to state benefits. I'm still confused. Maybe I'm not asking my question right. And maybe it has nothing to do with anything. Somebody starts, and I start. So on day one, how much sick days do I get?
0.
Right. So if I don't show up for work tomorrow, and I work 32 hours this week, how many hours are on my paycheck?
If you work 32, it should be 32,
Well,
right?
no, I want to see, I know what I do. I want to see what they do.
I mean, they can request to go into a negative
Right.
leave balance.
That's-
And then-
so they're going to get paid 40 and owe us 8.
And it's depending upon the circumstances in that
Okay.
aspect, so.
Never tried that. Huh. Okay.
But then once that is accumulated in there.
Sure.
Once they get back to it, so.
Right, yeah. Okay.
Try it and let us know how it works out.
It wouldn't. It doesn't work out in the real
It
world.
can get abused.
Yes.
So you just start, and you go, I wanna dip into my, we use PTO,
And
because
it
we don't have.
wouldn't happen for someone
It
that
shouldn't
just
happen.
started. No.
Right.
It has to be justified, it has to be
Right.
approved by town manager, and really, it has to be a good reason for it.
Sure.
Someone that's been at work for a while, working hard, they get COVID, or they're, something
Right.
happens.
Surgery or something.
But not,
Yeah.
it just sound, like, when you were highlighting, I'm like, is that the rule? Like, or why are you highlighting it?
Is there an option to do like leave without pay? Like, let's say they do get sick
Yes,
and
and
they
that's what
gotta
they-
take a
that's-
week and that.
Yeah, if the
they
manager
just don't
doesn't
get
approve
paid.
them to go into a negative leave balance, then they have to take leave without pay.
So, quick question, do we have what I would call an accounting portal, where individuals can sort of look at, here are the hours that I put in my time card, here's the hours that I classified as vacation, here's what I.
We're in the process. Part of our upgrade, part of our accounting.
Why they're hiring an HR person.
Yeah, no, that's
We're,
great.
we're implementing, it's called Time Clock Plus, where all your leave is tracked.
Yeah.
You can see your leave balances, you request your leave out of there, so you can't request leave you don't have,
And,
one thing.
and Tanya, what system is that gonna be?
Time Clock Plus,
Okay, super, yeah.
If they wanna print a pay stub again, they can do that on their own.
Yep.
Right, and they get their W-2
Yeah,
on
they
their
got a link
own.
to log into it.
that's a
it makes it-
separate portal, but yes.
All, makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, I'll make the motion to move the adoption of the proposed resolution which amends the town's personnel policy, harassment policy, and procedures, workplace violence prevention policy, and ratifies an amendment to the grievance policy and procedures made on May 18th, 2026.
Just to clarify, are we voting on one thing or two things? Because I'm confused.
I'm doing the suggested motion.
So the resolution that's in your packet does all of those
On
things.
32, it's all encompassing on page 32.
Did we talk about all that yet? Did I jump the gun?
No, I'm being an asshole.
He was referring to us earlier.
I was referring to myself voting no on something I didn't know I was voting on two things. Just wanted to be clear if I'm gonna vote.
All right, so we have a resolution of amending the town's personnel policy to be approved. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
So, Mayor, we're at number 7.
Number 7 is further discussion and direction.
So I would like to make a motion. Whenever we offer our services for town events, be it sponsored or supported, whatever the term may be, we have not historically given an accounting to the organization of which we are supporting as to the cost of those events. So for example, this spreadsheet that I did for you guys, the music on main event was a cost of $5,221. And I would just like for us to give a statement of what is projected while we're planning these events, and then another statement as to what the actual cost of these events are. It's hard for an organization to know how much something costs if we don't tell them how much we're putting into it. And for the sake of transparency, I think we need to give them a statement of the cost for each event, for the man-hours and/or equipment that are used.
It's a brilliant idea, because, again, you relate things back to the private world. If you're gonna give away free things, typically, we would give them an invoice and then.
And then no charge it.
Right.
Right.
It's not that I want to charge them for this.
No, I get,
just
no,
want them to have
no,
an account.
it's a brilliant idea.
To understand what the value is.
Exactly.
No, it's great.
Yeah, we
Validated.
I want to be validated.
Okay. Yeah, I get it.
I mean, we do this at work all the time where we have an invoice and then there was an overage, so we just do professional discount and get it back in line to where it needs to be. And then they can see the full
Exactly.
value of what was done on that project.
Why didn't we think of this sooner?
So, did you make that in the form of a motion?
I'll make a motion that we give a statement of accounting of the anticipated charges up front during the planning time, and then an actual accounting after the event as to the actual cost that the town has provided support for.
Before we vote, let me ask one quick follow-up question. Tanya, how much time would this add to your job?
It's not just me, it's department heads.
Yeah, okay.
So there definitely would be an admin cost, just like preparing all these costs for you, like, so far, it costs all of our time.
Right.
So, yeah, we would want to be mindful of how much time we spend, but I think we could definitely come up with an estimate. We don't have to have actual, we could do an estimate, we could have
You
it,
could base it on what you did last year.
yes. And take an average salary, maybe not look to see who's working which events, we could have an average public works salary and
Well, you got a
average.
fee schedule to go by, so you can use that fee
We
schedule.
could use fee schedule.
So it is a reasonable thing for staff or for you to manage
Yeah,
that?
reasonable.
Okay.
Okay.
And I guess, is there the need for both the estimate and the actual, or is it really what
Well,
we're getting at,
I
the
think as,
actual?
I think as events are being planned, there may not be an awareness that, you charge for police protection for this event, and it could be a wedding, it could be the fireworks, it could be whatever. And I think it's only fair, as we are supporting these organizations or weddings or whatever we're doing, that this is how much we think it's gonna cost. And so they have an idea, oh, I don't wanna spend $5,000 on a fire truck and firemen to be there for fireworks at my wedding. But then you're gonna get another statement that says this is how much it actually cost.
Well, that would be the bill from the town.
Yes.
But for WBA events, what you're saying is, okay, so you're gonna estimate out, but it needs to be very clear that this is not a bill.
Right, it's not a
It is-
bill.
Yeah.
It's just,
Right.
it's just for them to be able to understand the cost it is for their event,
Yeah.
that they have to have an accounting of all the costs in there.
And with Time Card Plus, Tanya's gonna give me a code, and I'm gonna use it to book my hours, and then she just pushes the button
Right,
and hands it to
summary,
me.
yeah.
Right?
We'll build that in.
If it
Yay.
were that simple.
So I understand there's probably a simplicity of just using the fee schedule, opposed to differentiating between sponsored, not sponsored, for both the estimate and the actual
The
cost.
fee schedule's fine.
Right.
So
I
we
guess.
anticipate it's gonna be 5 employees at
Yeah.
this many hours, and
Right.
then you have a cost.
Yeah, okay, I'm just thinking through if there's any benefit to having more, closer to an actual cost for the sponsored events. And that's for any sponsored event. Cause like, for like 4th of July, will we estimate the cost of that based upon the fee schedule?
We're not doing that, that's our event.
That's our
Sponsored
event.
events,
But we're still
we're talking
we're summarizing these costs.
I don't believe that's what Jennifer's talking about. I think this is for a third party. I mean, you could do that, sure. You could say, so we as town council know what a July 4th costs if you want that. But, you know,
Yeah.
and, you know, they do it, the fireworks are gonna cost X and,
Yeah, I think it's like you get a quote, and the quote is the estimated
Right.
cost.
Right.
And then you can compare that to what your actual cost was
Yeah.
to see
Right.
how
Yeah.
good your estimates were.
well, I think
Right.
it,
Well, so.
agreed, totally agreed.
For
Yeah.
example, like, I asked Scotty when we were having this discussion with WBA, of like, what are the costs of the other town events that are like the 4th of July? And so, if we were gonna receive that estimate, would we use the fee schedule for that, or would we try to calculate the actual?
For us, it would
Just
be
for
the
comparison.
actual.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things that you get to kind of get to pick and choose what you want to do, depending on what that particular event might be.
Mm-hmm.
Is an estimate close enough? Or do we actually need to know what actual is? And we're not going to know actual until it's done.
Yeah, so it's for us. It's,
Yeah.
what Jennifer said is correct.
Yeah.
But they're getting it free anyway, so they're gonna go,
Right,
I don't really care that you say it's costing 80 grand.
Right.
Thank you for doing it.
yeah,
And then we're gonna go, wow, we're spending $250,000 of town revenue to do free things that we like. and free things that we like that other people ask for. They're still the same thing.
Yeah.
Nobody, the town people have said, do a July 4th, okay. Do a Christmas parade, okay. And then WBA saying, do a musical Maine. At the end of the day, Scotty and his department head should know what these free things for the town cost.
Right.
Okay, $250,000, great.
Yeah.
We go, all right, we're spending 8% of our budget on stuff to make Weaverville a great place for people to come to. And there is no benefit, you can't drive it to the economy and sales tax and all that. You just go, how much are we spending on having parties in the town of Weaverville? $250,000, great. Is that good or bad? I don't know. It's just what it is. And I think that, to your point, I already said earlier, is a great idea to tell the customer, which in this case is WBA, what it's costing the town. And to Mark's point, maybe we should know what we're spending too.
Yeah.
Well, it's just for transparency's
I
sake.
think it's great.
And my point is just more the clarification of what it actually costs to what the.
I'd love to know what it
the
actually
fee schedule
costs.
builds in extra
Sure.
to where it's above our actual costs.
So, for example, and Chief Oberlin can speak to this if you have a question, anywhere in the county that a police officer goes to work other than their regular scheduled days, let's say they pick up time to do security at the church, the cost of that, cost the county is $65. Is that right? Okay. So they charge $65 an hour. Well, that's not the salary of that police officer, but that's
Right.
the cost of the service.
Right.
So that's where the fee schedule comes into play.
Yeah.
For us doing an event for the town, it should be an actual event because we're not, I don't care what everybody else costs, that's how much it actually costs the town to do
Right.
it.
So I would advocate then, since WBA or town-sponsored events are in a similar vein, that should be the number then as well, not a fee schedule that is never billed.
I think that
That-
should be fee schedule.
Maybe we should
Yeah,
let,
May I ask a question as well while we're talking?
Please, ma'am.
For clarity, I like that, that's what you're going for, Mr. Endries. What do we classify as events would be my next question. So today, the third graders walked down Yost, crossed Merriman. As we know, there's no sidewalks to get to the lake. So we had to post officers to get them down Yost safely on both sides of Merriman to shut the traffic down, on Lake Louise Drive to keep cars from leaving the park and running them over. That we did that to get them there, we did that to get them back. We serve meals at the schools. So in these cases, those events can be handled by people that are on duty barring some kind of call. But things like 4th of July are overtime, and folks that are working on a day that they would normally be off are working during the day when they would normally be on at night. If you could, and I don't expect an answer right now, but you're asking for some of these things, and the police, as you've seen, I've put presentations out of the events that we do, everything from going to churches and whatnot, Rotary Club meetings and things. Are, is that an event or is that a courtesy? Is the police department working for the school a service or a billable hour?
I think if it causes an additional staff and hours outside their normal work duties, then I think it's an event.
What I hear between the two of you is a debate between, actual cost versus cost plus, a premium of, what we would call structural costs that we may not be able to account for. So the fee schedule basically is an estimate of rates that will cover, not only our actual hard dollar costs, but also an estimate of the soft things that we're not accounting for that are still basically in the structure. So I think the reason Jennifer is basically saying use fee schedule is that gives the town basically some free board over and above, hard dollar actual penny costs, that will essentially keep the town whole you know, versus having to account for, you know, down to the minute and.
So no money's changing hands at all? Right,
Right.
so we're, you know, we can talk about it for next hour, because I got nowhere to go.
Yeah,
And it's good. So again, go back to the real world. We're gonna add margin to what it costs us to make a patch when I'm giving it away for free. And I'm gonna say to the guy, it's $250 and it's a free because we like you. And then I say to the purchasing department, make Andrew Nagel 100 of those patches for me so I can hand them out when I come to town council, and Jennifer Jackson always can have her space patch. I wanna know what it cost us to make it. So I do this all the time. I go, what did it cost us? Because I'm gonna donate it. And then, well, you know, I'm gonna show them the margin. If you had to buy it, what would you pay? So July 4th, in my mind, is a town event. I'd like to know what it cost us. WVA events, I'm in total agreement with Jennifer. What would we sell it for? You know, we need to make money, because even though no money's changing hands, for now, maybe one day it will. We don't know. I know you're saying this is for transparency, but I'm in favor of, you know, user taxes, so maybe people should be paying us when they want to have an event.
I think it's important that this would give a sense of proportion for people, that when they're planning to have an event and come to town and say, we'd like you to sponsor this event,
Yeah.
what is it gonna cost?
Right.
Well, we have a fixed place to go now to generate that number. And it'll be consistent that way.
Correct.
You have to be consistent from one to the next.
That's right.
But it does give a sense of proportion, like, you know, right now, WBA, this is how much the town is contributing
Correct.
in services.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And they come back with a bigger plan next year, and they expect kind of the same thing?
Correct.
Maybe not,
Right.
you know, so I think it's
So-
important to be able to get some metrics around it.
And the other thing is, how much will they have to go buy that service from someone else?
Exactly.
which would include margin.
Correct.
That's right.
So let's just be clear to Chief Oberlin, we want you to keep the third graders safe. Okay, we're on the record. We didn't need to think about it. I know you told us we could think about it, but the press does listen to the minutes. We are in favor of not charging the third graders to keep them safe.
No, not charging, but to document. I guess what
No,
I'm
you don't need
asking
to
is,
document it.
What do you want us to document?
That's not an event.
I
That's
wanna-
keeping third graders safe.
Should we let Tanya maybe present us with a example plan of the estimated cost model and then the actual cost model that we can study and say, is this the information we want or not? That is a reasonable for you to put together enough in a normal time frame, not an exhausting time frame.
Then we're gonna ask you what did it cost to tell us what it's gonna cost.
That was my original question, is how much more work does this put on? I mean, and should we then maybe be charging an admin fee for doing that?
Yeah.
You know?
Margin.
That's
It's like,
fine.
okay, we're gonna give you $18,000 worth of service, it's gonna cost you $25 for us to do the math. That's fine, but I'd like to just go on record here also to say that this number, thank you for compiling this number, but this number does not fit me. I think this is a very reasonable number for what is brought into this town. So that is not something that I am driving toward, even with this increase in transparency, which sometimes leads to, now we have a basis for which to change our
Okay.
policy next year to start charging. I hope that doesn't happen.
Right. And this is not by any means a method for me to charge WBA for these events. It's just to make them aware
Of how much their
of how
friendship
much
is.
their friendship is.
Okay.
And so with the fee schedule, it's just easier accounting for the staff to say it's $65 an hour for a police officer and it's $45 an hour for public works, and that's easy math.
Yeah, I totally get it. I guess where I was getting back to, we just adopted this fee schedule, and it, you know, it again, it talks about sponsored or supported, and then I just trying to get clarity and clear binning of what things are, so that we can then come up with our numbers and our
Some things
summaries.
continue to be a work in progress,
Right,
too.
yes, yes.
And this has been very enlightening, and I thank you for putting that together.
So there is a motion on the table.
I was getting to that point.
I'm happy to try to restate it.
Please.
So I've got a motion for the town to provide statements to the WBA and others for estimates of the cost of support, of town supportive events for transparency purposes, and then a post-event revision with an actual accounting of costs actually incurred so that they understand the true cost of events.
Yes. Thank you.
I have a
I'm
comment.
sorry,
Do-
based on an actual accounting of costs based on the adopted fee schedule.
Correct.
Before we make any motion or vote, should we let Tanya come back with a couple examples and models on what she thinks she can put together and let us review those and then make a decision?
I actually think this is good enough.
Okay.
I do too.
All right.
I,
Okay.
I think it's a
I
great,
don't know
great
if
start,
that's tonight.
thank you.
You don't have enough friends tonight.
I might be overthinking it. I just-
So we have a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? He said aye.
Thank you.
I'm not against the
Motion
principle.
carries.
Against
Let's
the
see, where
principle,
are we?
just like more documentation up
Is that-
front,
I hate to ask
whatever.
this question, is there any further discussion that we need to have about anything we've done this evening?
Does everybody know what they're gonna pay in taxes? Mark, I expect you to come to the next, I'll have the answer for you, since it's public
You want to
record.
summarize it for everybody?
Sure, I did that when you got your revals. I contacted each of you and told you which
did.
property went up, so.
I'm a sovereign nation, I don't,
You're not paying taxes?
I have one quick update. The Urban 3 consulting company basically is now decided to kick off the economic analysis for Weaverville on July 1. And, I think they have determined, I think I sent all of you the note, they've determined that that's probably an effective start date with all the questions coming in from appraisals and basically challenges to appraisals. So they think they're gonna have enough data to start, and they have specifically requested a copy of the budget that we have approved this evening, which will also be numerical input to the analysis. The second quick update is the ball crank arcade at 115 is going strong even without the LIFT grant that would have covered our town-sponsored pavilion. It sounds like the building now is fully sold out, and it's going to be substantially directed to recreation and entertainment. And Councilmember Young basically is connecting investors also to Advent Health to explore what I would call collaboration ideas with both the hospital and this now new recreation center. So all of the indicators are still very positive for the town. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome, thank you very much. Is there any further business to come before council? None appearing. The council is adjourned.